everyone, today I'm going to teach you how to make the Twylah dress from Retro Sparkle Designs. The version that I am doing is the long bishop sleeve with elastic. When cutting your pieces, remember to have the stretch horizontal and your grain line vertical. These are the pattern pieces you'll need. You'll need the skirt, the two sleeves. Again, these ones are the bishop. You'll need one front middle and two front sides. One back piece, and one neckband. I'm going to start with the front bodice piece. You'll take the middle front piece right side up and then take one of the side pieces and put it right side down so they are right sides together. Then you're going to clip all along the curve. Then you're going to do the same thing for the other side. Then you're going to use a zigzag stitch or use your serger and sew along both these sides. Next, we are going to take our back bodice piece and put it right sides together with the front bodice piece that you just sewed. Then we are going to sew the shoulder seams together. Next, we are going to find the middle of the back piece and the middle of the front piece so we can line up our neckband. To do this, I put it in half and make the tiniest little slit on the front and the back of the bodice. Next, we're going to take our neckband and fold it in half, right sides together, and sew along the edge. Once that is sewn, you take it wrong sides together, and then you make a little clip in it right in the middle so you can line it up with your front and back piece of your bodice. And these little snips that I'm doing are the smallest little notches, so that way you won't be able to see it whenever you sew your fabrics together. So you'll take your front notch on your neckband and line it up with the front notch on the front of your bodice. And then clip it in place. Then you'll do the same with the back. Take your back seam and line it up with that back notch. And these are pieces that are right sides together. And then clip it in place. Then you will sew your neckband to your bodice piece. Once you are done, it will look like this. Then you want to start working on your sleeves. So for the bishop sleeves, they need to be gathered at the top so that way they can fit into the arm piece of your bodice. Where your sleeve starts to curve down is where you want to gather. I will add clips to show you where I mean where it starts to curve down. Then you will gather in this area only. I have a Juki, so these are my settings. I just move it over to between the 6 and the 7 on both my needles. And then my side knobs will go to a 4 and to a 2. And here I'm just showing you how I gather. I just put it into the machine, and then once I get to that curve, I move the rest of my fabric out of the way. And once it's done, it looks like this on the back side, and that's what it looks like up in front. Then you will open up your bodice and lay it right sides up, and you will take your sleeve and put it right side down. Then you're going to clip all along that curve where your sleeve goes. I like to sew my sleeves on one at a time, especially whenever I'm dealing with bishop sleeves. So I'm sewing this side first. And that's what it looks like after it's sewn together. And then you'll repeat the same steps for the other side. Lay your bodice piece right side up, and then take your sleeve and lay it right sides down. So the right sides together. And then clip in place and sew. Next, we are going to close up the sleeves and close up the side of the bodice. So put your sleeves and your bodice right sides together and start clipping. And then I wanted to show a little trick on how you get your seams to lay flat to where they match up perfectly. So it doesn't matter what side you pick, but lay one seam up and the other seam down. And I'll show you what that looks like after it is sewn. So continue clipping your pieces together so that way you can sew up the sleeves. And you'll start from the bottom of the sleeve and go all the way down to the bottom of the bodice. And then repeat the same steps for the other side. Once you are done clipping, go ahead and sew all the areas where you clipped. And that's how you get the perfect seam. Remember that one side is down and one side is up. Next, we are going to work on the skirt. And on this one, I did a double fold because my fabric is not directional. So the opening, we are going to stick your bodice right side out. So that way it's right sides together with the skirt. Then you are going to take the side of your skirt and line it up with the side seam of your bodice. And then repeat for the other side, line it up, and then clip. And then repeat these steps for both the front and the back of the bodice as well. Once you are done, you're going to sew your bodice to your skirt. This is what your dress will look like after you attach your skirt to your bodice piece. After this step, you would want to hem the bottom, so you would just fold it under 1/2 inch and hem the top. This is for my daughter, so I'm not hemming this one specifically. Our very last step, we will be working on the sleeves. For the sleeves, we will be creating a casing for our elastic. So you will take your sleeve and you will fold down enough for your elastic to be able to fit through there. I'm using a 3/8 inch elastic. So I'm going to fold that down and make sure I have enough space for my elastic to feed through there. I'm using my cover stitch for this step, but you can also use your sewing machine on a zigzag stitch. So I'm going to sew all the way around and I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch opening so I can feed my elastic through. Once you are done, it should look like this. And then I'm going to take my elastic and put a safety pin through one end of it so that way I can start the process to feed it through that casing. You want to start on one side and push your elastic through and pull it until you see the very end of your elastic in the opening. Then you can take a clip or a pin and pin that elastic in place right at the opening so that way it doesn't slip through. For this step, I'll be using a pin. Then you just finish feeding your elastic all the way through. Once you get to the end, put your elastic pieces together and you can either sew or serge the very end so your elastic is sewn together. For this step, I'm going to be using my serger and I just run it right over and clip off just a little tiny bit of the elastic. And then you're going to push the elastic through and take out your pin. And then we're going to close up that little opening that we had left open. And for that, I'll be going back to my cover stitch to close up that hole. Then you'll repeat the same process for the other sleeve. Then you are finished with the Twylah dress from Retro Sparkle Designs.